If you are wondering what's going to happen next to our cryptocurrency market, take a look at this. As it currently stands, gold is going absolutely insane. But it's pretty interesting that at the same time, we've got the S&P in one of the strongest bull runs we've seen in decades, being up a ridiculous amount over the past 5 months. And it makes you wonder. Does this really predict anything for our cryptocurrencies? Does this say anything for where the crypto market is going to be headed next? Well, there's a very broad theory out there that Bitcoin has some pretty interesting correlation to gold, and that gold in this case also has a pretty interesting relation to 𝗵𝗂, which again is related to Bitcoin. But at the same time, everybody is paying close attention to the numbers that came out a bit earlier today, talking about the job openings, and of course, we've got unemployment. But on the opposite side, the reason that is so extremely important has to do with the rate cuts. We all expect another rate cut to be coming up over the next few weeks, but the question is, how strong a cut will it be? And will it be 2 in this year, or will it end up being 3? And how much will they actually end up cutting it? All that is interesting, but at the end of the day, it does not change that much from my strategies. If you've got no idea what I'm talking about, I do some algorithmic crypto trading. Every single one of these videos, I share my strategies, I share my thoughts, I share my positions. And what we basically do is we set ourselves up altcoin strategies and also Bitcoin strategies, etc. That's basically making money on the volatility of different cryptocurrencies. So ultimately, the most important thing we want to see is for some of the coins like Bitcoin to go up, down, so we can cash out more profits. Similarly with XRP, the numbers we've been pulling are pretty insane, but we'd still prefer it to be an even crazier number. And by the way, if you're interested in joining any of these things, I've got a link down below to Payonics, which is the platform I've got my bot trading on. It's all automatic. It's very, very simple to copy along. Just check it out with the link down below. It's the first link you'll find in the description. And now let's dive right in. But first, actually, make sure you press that like button if you haven't done so already. Gold is telling the future. The S&P is in one of its strongest bull runs in decades, up 1,650 points in under 5 months. Meanwhile, gold's year-to-date return just hit almost 40%, nearly 4 times more than the S&P's return from the start of the year up till now. So why is gold crushing stocks in a bull market? Gold rises 4 times more than the S&P, even though it's historically one of the strongest bull markets ever. And in case you're new here, this trend is not. What exactly does that mean? Take a look at gold versus the S&P since 2023. Gold prices are now up about 100% compared to a 67% gain in the S&P. Despite the AI revolution, the biggest breakthrough in tech since the internet, stocks are lagging gold. Here is why it's even more strange. Take a look at the historical relationship between gold and the S&P. Gold is a safe haven asset, historically like bonds, which rise in times of uncertainty and with equity market weakness. Then in 2020, this trend began shifting. Below is a chart summarizing the S&P 500 to gold correlation. In 2024, gold and the S&P 500 had a record high correlation coefficient of 0.91. Of course, that basically means they move almost in unison. The increasingly positive relationship between gold and the S&P is indicative of a major macroeconomical shift. So why exactly is that happening? Well, it's a combination of market pricing and higher long-term inflation and more deficit spending. And adding fuel to the fire, pushing it on, deficit spending is flooding the U.S. Treasury market with supply, and gold has become the global safe haven asset. And to me, that is indeed quite a good question. Is it really more so gold? Is it really more so Bitcoin? When you take a look at it from Trump's angle, not necessarily this post right here, but you would actually argue that he's choosing Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies more than gold because they can make way more money off of that. However, I think there's actually another chart you'd have to take a look at. And this shows gold versus Bitcoin performance with 200-day lag. This basically means that one is a few hundred days here behind gold, but still the trend becomes quite clear. And global 𝗵𝗂 versus Bitcoin price with 102-day lag. So if Bitcoin's lagged 𝗵𝗂, right, so it's just a little bit behind, and gold correlations hold, the rest of the year could be very interesting. Charts below point to $167,000 to $185,000 per Bitcoin. I would like to do one thing. I would like to tell you that you should not focus on the prices that they're mentioning right here too much. What you should be focusing on is trend. And what I mean with that is if we take a look at global 𝗵𝗂 and Bitcoin with some lag, right? So pushed back 102 days, what does become clear is indeed Bitcoin has been following along almost perfectly. What you can take from this, I'd say, is there's a very high probability of it following along with the lines. What I do not believe you can do is take relative norms and say, okay, you know what, because this has been the trend, Bitcoin will actually go to 160, 170, 180, 190, because I just don't think it's measurable to that extent. I think, again, you can always kind of crop and do some stuff to the chart to make the prices a bit different. But I do believe that Bitcoin has a very high likelihood to continue this trend that's been ongoing for multiple years now of following M2 102 days or so behind. Then again, we have to add to that, funnily enough, we've also got a similar sort of pattern going on with gold. It's following a similar sort of trend. And so when we look back at the previous part, where was it? Here it was, in saying gold has become a freaking safe haven asset. I do like to argue now that if gold is kind of the starter, what they're choosing, it's slowly but surely, over time, provably so for the most part, becoming a Bitcoin thing. Where Bitcoin relatively, of course, has also seen way more gains. It is quite interesting to see that whatever gold has been doing, the trend has been seeing, Bitcoin slowly but surely has taken over, doing basically the same sort of trend, but with just more volatility, just more severity. And I always like to argue that whatever is happening for Bitcoin here slowly but surely transfers over into altcoins, which brings up my next point here. I am long multiple millions of dollars on altcoins currently. And fun fact, if you're wondering where I'm going to be entering significantly harder, I told you guys yesterday that basically over on 𝗬𝗓𝗃 here, they have a nice little situation going on where if you actually, let me quickly grab it here. Let me quickly just open it for y'all so everybody can see. They've got a nice reward system going on right now where the more you deposit, the more you get rewarded with a free position airdrop. I just checked it out for myself and it's pretty easy to do. And it's a tiered system, meaning you can start out with just the 100 thing. And if you enjoy it, for example, you just move your way down. How does it exactly work? Well, first of all, you get free dollars, which sounds strange, but it's, I think, just a massive loss campaign on their side to get more users. But for just buying your phone and email, you get some USDT. But more importantly, the more you put on, the more you get in terms of a airdrop. Mind you, right? How does this exactly work? The very simple idea here is, first of all, I'm not a financial advisor. Nothing here is guaranteed, except for the fact that what they're basically doing is matching your input based on a position that's leveraged. So it's not like they're giving it for you to take out, understandably. It's for you to trade with the idea there that you then stay on the platform and just become a trader on their thing, which is obviously how any exchange or Coinbase or whatever, how they make money, right? But people using that exchange. And many times these exchanges need some sort of reward to get themselves out there. And so they lose money for a while to get there. But realize, if you ever see on the internet, like, oh, you put something, you get something back, understand that if it's, fully gettable, if it's too good to be true, it usually is. This makes too much sense. Read the terms and conditions. The reason I'm saying it like that is because I do not want people to think that everything in crypto comes easily or something like that. In this case here, these guys do exactly what all the other exchanges are doing, but they're being a bit more upfront about it, just giving some nice bonuses for signing up. That's all they're giving, right? It's not that crazy. Regardless, I told y'all yesterday, I'm basically looking for a new Ethereum long at roughly $3,900 or so. Actually, yeah, roughly $3,900. But I wanted to quickly yesterday showcase how I'm opening a position with just $15,000. And I said, I want to open about 300 to, depending on how low the price goes, let's say about $300,000 worth of an ETH long at 3,900. We're just waiting for it. And XRP also, I said before, I just want to sometimes get a position in, start building, and then increase as time progresses. So like we said yesterday, even though buying at that point was profitable for a bit, the price did go up afterwards after we bought. I didn't really, pretty quickly, it was basically almost the top that we bought at, but that was also partially the plan. Is to showcase how you can build a position over time. And funnily enough, it does actually bring up yet another point. And by the way, I always showcase everything. I have nothing to hide here when it comes to our trades and our points. Everything, by the way, is also going to be shared for the most part over in Discord. I have it on my other monitor, but basically whenever I'm opening a new bot or things of that sort right now, I'm just quickly trying to grab it here and put it, make a big screen. Whenever I add new bots, whenever I'm putting new money in things, I'm going to be always sharing it over in Discord for absolutely free. I also made a tab where you guys can share your bot results. And here there's going to be more technical analysis things coming up very, very shortly. So I just recommend you guys that if you're interested in all this trading stuff or all this, just whatever I cover here on the channel, maybe you might want to check out the Discord as well, because things have been going really, really well. On the one hand, we're making money on the volatility, again, with the idea in mind that since gold has been going absolutely insane, Bitcoin usually follows, and what follows after that, most of these alts. And I personally think, even though on the short term, We may not be in the best of a situation. We may actually lose some money as well as the market goes down a bit. I do believe the market is bound for a massive breakout. Again, if ETH gets back from about 4,200 or so, I will actually start buying again with, again, the majority of our funds coming in at roughly 3,900, with the higher bound of that being about 4,100. It's basically the lower bound of my purple box right here. Again, this XRP trade that you're seeing in about $150,000 for the profit right now was also minus $100,000 before. This ETH trade was at a minus before. It usually is that way, right? We're doing here bigger swings with the idea that we just have to add, and make a very, very big position over time. We do not know what the price is going to do tomorrow. We do have a good idea of where it's going to be going over the next few months, though. And all I know is I don't really sell these dips. I just like to purchase them. In this case here, you might say, Dusty, you front run it a bit. You should not have bought. Hey, I don't think it really matters too much. I told y'all the idea is I put 100,000 in the account to basically buy a $1 million position. And I didn't really do it yet. I just proved a point here by sometimes I get afraid of mosquitoes, man. I just proved a point of saying, hey, we can open up a trade right now because it's a 10K free one, right? I said, I'm just opening it here just to prove a point, just to showcase, and then we'll actually add the position later. I think it's always nice, though, if I'm talking about positions, if I'm talking about these things, to also showcase me how I open it and how I do these things, rather than just saying it, if you get my drift. But again, relatively, you can see it's $2,500 we put in, and I still have $100,000 basically left. We didn't do anything, so do not fret here. The crux of it is coming. And like I said, I will leave links to everything down below. If you want that free position that I talked about before, check out 𝗬𝗂𝑥. A link is down below. And if you want to trade with bots and stuff, check out 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗧𝗧𝗧. A link is down below. It's super, super simple. If you're not sure how to do it all, just join the Discord. Like I said, I'll leave some good tutorials in there. I have a full spreadsheet of every single position I've ever opened, and I'll update it accordingly whenever I open new positions, etc. You can follow every bot by checking out all these different tabs in here. I've got everything logged, all right? I want everything to be very, very clear because I think it's the best system that I've ever made. So I need to log everything, but it takes some time. Even our 10K to 1 million challenge is going pretty strong. I'm now making a logbook as well for whenever I open new positions. It's bound to be a great document. I think a lot of people would be extremely happy to get this. No cost at all. Just giving it out there to anybody. You know what? That's about it for right now. Market is doing good. Market is looking pretty great. On the short term, it does look a little bit more negative, but that doesn't matter because the medium term, the Q4, the Q1 of next year, it's going to be juicy. So all I'm doing is stacking up positions, and I'm very excited for what's bound to happen next. But guys, make sure you press the like button if you enjoyed the video. See you guys again in another one. And I'll cover some more news later today. I think we deserve some more cool things that should be covered. But I kind of want to do that when the market is more hot, as when the market is a bit cooling off like right now, news doesn't hit the same. You want the news to hit in a market where things are really, really good. But if you have a certain altcoin you want me to talk about or set up a strategy for when it comes to these bots, let me know down below. That's about it for this little crypto update.